I'm James Brierton from our studio in Charlotte. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for Sampson County in eastern North Carolina. Let's go to our Charleston studio. That's where Jared Smith is. Jared, what are we looking at?
We're looking at kind of a disorganized rotation here. It looks like, just kind of backing up a little bit. You can see why they issued here, as this was crossing Highway 411, um, but in Sampson County. But right now, if there's going to be any rotation here, it's going to be just south of Clinton, North Carolina, about to cross around the intersection of Highway 701 and 421. Again, this is not the most potent rotation you'll ever see, uh, to put it mildly. But again, we have this. But we do have a little bit of rotation showing up here, about 0.75 units or so of normalized rotation, and then we have a second area to the north. But that's not what prompted the warning here. But again, right here, just south of Clinton now, around Business 701 and Highway 421, right around that corridor here. It's not the best looking circulation you'll ever see. Again, to get my boom arm out of the way so we can kind of show this to you, but not the best circulation that you'll ever see. But certainly, right in here is where we are concerned for that possible tornado. And yeah, they've just reboxed the warning, James. So that warning will continue until 8:15 for East Central Sampson. Here's the Weather Service warning just right out of the gate. 7:51, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located on the south side of Clinton, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. This is heading towards Turkey, um, otherwise over rural areas of Sampson County. But if you're in Turkey right now, we need you to be in that interior room on the lowest floor. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So again, you had some really good, helpful safety tips here up on the screen. So again, tornado warning means take action, and don't try to look for it at this point. It's dark. It's rain wrapped. If there is anything there, we can find that out. If we look at the correlation coefficient, so far so good. Not seeing too many signs of trouble with that, which is good news. But again, right in here, right at that conjunction here of Highway 701, where it turns into Business 701, and Highway 421, that business bypass here on the south side of Clinton, headed towards Turkey, and eventually I-40 if it holds up that long. But again, today's not that kind of day where we expect the kind of the long track circulations. That just doesn't seem to be very much in the cards today, which is good. We don't like that by any stretch of the imagination. We hope that very quickly we can get rid of this warning. But again, right now, the main concern is, for this. Really, this shower. I don't know that we can call it a thunderstorm. I don't see really much in the way of lightning with this.
Well, let's talk about this just for a second and set the stage and show folks right now the Storm
Yeah.
Prediction Center. We talked about this last night on a special edition of the Carolina Weather Group, and here's where we stand coming up on the 8 o'clock hour here on this Wednesday, January the 25th. The Storm Prediction Center National Weather Service Division has gone ahead here and pushed the slight risk, that tier 2 out of 5 for severe weather, all the way right up against the coast. And then we have the marginal risk, which is in the darker green, a little bit further inland. So if we have Jared just pull his radar out just a little bit, we have gone all day with this line of storms moving across the Carolinas that has not produced any warnings until just the last couple of minutes. And that's what you can see here. We have some residual rain back behind it. We'll talk more about the current weather conditions elsewhere right now, but the only game in town in terms of severe weather is associated with this line that Jared's been talking about. It has that red polygon for the tornado warning, but also just outside of that, the yellow polygon is for a severe thunderstorm warning associated with essentially the same cluster of thunderstorms. And the yellow box is the chance that we could have some damaging wind. But the reason I wanted to go on this spiel, Jared, is because that yellow box does have a very particular tag associated with it, which is the Weather Service's way of saying we are watching this entire cluster of thunderstorms for the potential of further spin up. So we have the one that has the red polygon for the tornado warning. That means the National Weather Service feels that there's enough confidence that a tornado could be happening here that they've gone ahead and issued that warning with that action item to seek shelter immediately. But they're watching that entire yellow area for the potential of damaging winds or further tornadoes. The TLDR is, if you're anywhere inside these warnings, now is the time to head inside.
Yeah, and again, if you're in the town of, if you're in Clinton, if you're in Turkey, the best call to action for you is to get into an interior room on the lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, um, and just hang in there for a little bit. Looks like we got a webcam here from Clinton.
It's a
Uh,
still picture from WeatherStem, but you can just see again how visibility, how poor that is with the clouds, the rain, and the fog out there. Again, this is a still picture, so I don't anticipate that it will move on us. But just to
right.
kind of, you're not going to see this.
Yeah, you're just not, and that's just, yeah, then that's just the way that this is going to go. You're just not going to see it. So again, really not the greatest, uh, tightest signature. If anything, the anticyclonic signature, where you have the winds going towards the radar and the winds away from the radar, is an anticyclonic signature behind it. But right here, right in here, is where we would expect the potential for, if there was anything spinning. Again, using a tool called normalized rotation in this radar software that we use. If you watched us before, exactly, you've seen this before, but really we're kind of at point 7 here, and usually we want to see numbers closer to 1 uh, before we get extraordinarily concerned. But again, but we have seen this before. There's a lot of shear. There is, and maybe just enough instability to kick up, maybe a brief rotation. Using the correlation coefficient, don't really see anything here that screams debris signature.
That's good news.
Um, so that's, so there's really not much here to hang your hat on. I would be negligent too to note that in the very top part of this polygon, there's another area that looks like it might be trying to spin up a little bit too. We might see some kinks in this line, especially as it gets further east, into North Carolina this evening. Really, if you're looking for the action is offshore. The action's in the Gulf Stream. There's where we have several special marine warnings for waterspouts um, ongoing there. But it's with this line of thunderstorms, and we'll just go ahead and set that back there and set this back into motion. And you can see, that there may be just some brief spin ups in the leading edge of this line, and that's the situation that is, concerned us enough, concerned the Weather Service enough to issue a tornado warning here.
Yeah, but we are coming up now at 8 o'clock. James Brierton with you here from our Charlotte studio. That's Jared Smith in our studio in Charleston. We're watching this line of thunderstorms, which has prompted the National Weather Service to go ahead and issue this tornado warning for Sampson County that goes until 8:15. And then, as we were discussing, there's kind of a broader severe thunderstorm warning just outside of that, as we're watching a couple of areas, embedded thunderstorms inside this broader line, move across the Carolinas. And Jared, it is kind of anticipated that although the energy is lower in the atmosphere because the sun has gone down, if we were going to see any warnings today, the latest guidance, the best guidance we have is that it was going to be here on the coastal portions of North Carolina or South Carolina.
Yep, that's exactly right. And again, that's where the Storm Prediction Center has been watching this. They've been watching this closely. There was some chatter maybe that the chance of a weather watch being issued. I don't know if we're going to quite get there. Certainly, the more vigorous convection is offshore, and that could be interesting here in a little bit for the Outer Banks. If we take a look at these storms, a couple of these supercell structures here with some waterspouts, special marine warnings past Morehead City here. So that's going to be certainly something that that folks on the Outer Banks are going to want to keep an eye on that for the next little bit, because I have a feeling that one of those may get a little close for comfort. But in the meantime, we are still looking at this storm in Clinton here, the south side of Clinton. And again, the good news is that the rotation is not well defined at all. It's very ill defined. It's very weak here. We'll tilt up in the storm a little bit, see if we can find. It's not very deep. It really looked better before it's one of those circulations that looked better before the warning was issued.
I mean, that's a pretty classic part of today's setup, this QLCS event. By the time they
Mhm.
get these warnings out, the thing may have already spun up and done its damage. They have just reboxed that again for us here, Jared, continuing
Cool.
until 8:15 as they continue to track this thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, which was located, as you've been saying, near Turkey, also 2 miles east of Clinton would be another way to refer to that. Hull then continuing to move to the northeast at 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I'll wait for the any updates to the polygon to come through here. Take a look at a second source, see if I can. Yeah, they've yeah, let's this should shrink up here in a second once we get another data refresh in. But yeah, really, if you're in Clinton, I think if the one bit of good news there is that you probably are okay at this point from this storm. I'm looking at it from the good news is that where we have a horrible radar hole in western North Carolina, here we have 3 radars to help triangulate this one. So I'm able to get a few different looks at it, which is good news. But yeah, if you're in Clinton right now, here's the new. Yeah, this is the warning. It's been reboxed. There's your circulation. It's right around where it says Turkey on the screen here. But if you're in Clinton, at this point, the weather is leaving. You can come out of your safe place in Clinton. Turkey, hang in there for a few more minutes. Still some slight evidence of rotation, but again, honestly, the stronger look at that rotation is now going to be towards Calypso, approaching Mount Olive here. Again, this is just a rotation product. This kind of cuts through the velocity scan a little bit, is able to process that and show us where things are trying to spin up. And we use this all the time. It has been a really good indicator over the years of where tornado danger is. And certainly we look for more, and if anything, this has been getting weaker over time.
Well, now might be a good time if you know folks who are either inside this current polygon or are anywhere in eastern North Carolina, Calypso among them. Just hit share on this YouTube video. Let them know that we're live so they can keep an eye on this, because it could be a situation where we got a little bit of an early warning opportunity here. That's not to say the National Weather Service is necessarily going to warn on this next thunderstorm that is currently rotating. But if Jared continues to see the rotation inside that cell, we wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of upgraded here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and again, we're looking, we're starting to look a little bit higher into the storm here too in Mount Olive. So keep in mind that's not going to necessarily be, representative of what's on the ground. But you can see here, one thing that we have with the Turkey storm is that we have that inflow notch right here, and we're not really seeing so much of that with the Mount Olive storm. But I'll zoom in on it again, and you can see there's still a little bit of a hook here.
They've just gone ahead and canceled that Sampson County tornado warning. Cool. So in the next couple of minutes, I would anticipate that will disappear off of our graphic. We'll hang here for a minute just to see what the Weather Service decides to do, maybe with the Mount Olive storm, or even some of these other storms that have been trying to do something.
This is not, this is better looking than that other rotation ever was. So,
and by better, you mean it's showing signs that maybe it's trying to strengthen.
Right. Yeah. It definitely has a little bit better of a look there around Mount Olive. I'm just taking a look at a couple different. Again, I'm the nice thing is I can triangulate this with about 3 different radars, and it's not it's not a terribly deep rotation. It's not a terribly but yeah, there might be something here. I'm looking at it from Morehead City too, and we'll see what they end up doing with this. But I agree. Let's hang here, James, because right by 117 alternate here, Highway 117, getting close to 3 alternate, right in here. Is that Highway 3 or is that US 117? Do I have a bug in my? I think I have a bug in my shapefile. That's funny. That's weird. All right. So anyway, we'll ignore that. But right here, you can see the red is the outbound. You can see moving mouse away from the radar. Green is towards the radar. And so when you have that kind of you have that look, you can that'll be generally your telltale sign for any rotation. And so what we have here, I mean, this is a crossing out of now this rotation is crossing out of Duplin County into, let me see, into Wayne County. Very far southern Wayne County. So again, we'll keep an eye on this. We have an update now on the outlook. Looks like the late evening outlook has just come out.
Yeah. So again, we were talking about this a few moments ago, and this has changed if you've been with us here in the Carolina Weather Group. So the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center issues the categorical outlook, the tier 1 through 5 on the chances of seeing severe weather. And right at the top of the hour, they updated this, and we can pretty much give an all clear for severe weather chances for anyone watching from South Carolina. They've reboxed this. Again, these are not things that require you to seek shelter immediately, but these are what we are looking at on the grand scheme of the next couple of hours. We have that slight risk in yellow, that tier 2 out of 5 for the chance of severe weather, kind of a bullseye right there on eastern North Carolina, a marginal risk kind of wrapping around that. That kind of goes hand in hand with what Jared has been showing you over the course of the last few minutes for what was an active tornado warning and continues to be an active severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Sampson County until 8:30. If we were to break this down and talk about the different types of severe weather, we still have a 5% chance of seeing a tornado in eastern North Carolina as we head on through these evening hours. And we also have a 5% chance of damaging winds. So, all in all, we have a low to medium risk of seeing severe weather this evening, but we can pretty much now isolate that to eastern North Carolina as we're continuing to watch, Jared, this line push to the east.
Yeah, and again, we'll kind of let me get configured here so I can give you a wider view of just exactly what we're looking at here. Um, Let me switch my view to the regional, and yep, that'll come up. And here we go. So there's your regional.
Yeah,
There
you
again,
can see
the
that line has moved offshore in South Carolina.
yeah, it's offshore in South Carolina. We're done. We got, if it was a couple hours later, we'd be calling the sleeping rain here in Charleston, for example. So, and again, it's not the most impressive line of storms you'll ever see. It certainly is not, it certainly is not the deepest convection you'll ever see. Um, Honestly, again, the more impressive storms are the ones that are offshore around the Gulf Stream here.
Yeah.
Um, but again, we do have, we have, some parameters in place where, there's a little bit of an influx of instability. Uh, the wind shear today has been off the charts. We're looking at, 60 knots of wind shear in this area, and that's pretty good. It might almost be too much. And you can't have too much shear. You can have too much. And so, so that is where the concern comes in, is that we could get some of these briefly spinning line segments here. And again, kind of a broken line, really not, nothing, nothing that's really showing out. If anything, right now the more intense rain rates are up towards Rocky Mount and Tarboro and approaching Greenville down to Goldsboro here. I'll switch one of my radar views over to Raleigh, and we'll be able to show that a little bit better. But um, certainly, that's where we're seeing some very heavy rain uh, coming down. But there's also some rain cooled air there, and and that is going to be a limiting factor for those folks as well. But there are still some kinks in that line that we'll want to keep an eye on too. So, but overall, right now we're okay as far as tornado warnings go. Um, it is the threat for, damaging straight line wind gusts is really going to be the big thing tonight.
Yeah, before we go here, let's just talk about things you can do right now. So, as we continue to watch for the possibility of one or two more scattered tornado warnings as we go through the evening hours, if you're watching from eastern North Carolina, now is the time. Charge that cell phone, maybe find a couple bottles of water, some food just to have on hand. Find a sturdy structure. So, maybe that's someplace in your house. We'll talk about where that is in a moment. Or maybe if you normally have a place you go to seek shelter during storms, you can get there pretty much in the next few minutes if you can get there quickly as this line is quickly moving through eastern North Carolina. A couple other things we'll let you know about. Let's talk about where to go in the event that one of these, a tornado warning, is issued where you need to take action immediately. That's not the time to get in the car and start driving. You need to be inside your shelter during one of those tornado warnings. That's the lowest floor of a home, away from windows and doors. Cover your head, keep that flashlight and maybe batteries with you. And so we have this diagram that kind of shows you in terms of this cut through of this house, maybe a center bathroom, or in my case, it's underneath the stairs and a center foyer that is the best place in my house to seek shelter, Jared, in the event that a tornado warning were to be issued later on. Again, we don't have any tornado warnings right now. The National Weather Service has allowed that tornado warning in Sampson County to be canceled, but we're continuing to watch that radar for the possibility that we could see 1 or 2 more warnings as we head on through the evening hours.
Yeah, James, and I wanted to call this to attention here. This is
Wow.
This is off of the Morehead City. I was talking about some of those cells that were offshore, and these are as tight a couplets as you're going to see all day right here. You got 1, you got 2, and you got kind of a weaker one down here, number 3. But you got a little conga line of supercells offshore that have prompted special marine warnings. But yeah, these are pretty tight. And so again, the good news is that they're over water. Unless you're a mariner headed out there, and
or Frying Pan Shoals, but
Shoals.
He's further south, right?
Yeah, Frying Pan Shoals, but there's also, there's a whole train. Here's another one.
Can you go into Ocracoke here for a moment?
Yeah.
What are the trajectory of these two guys? Because these are offshore right now, but you've got that Outer Banks right there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that Ocracoke, yeah, that's not looking good for Ocracoke. I wouldn't be shocked.
We've seen this before, where you could get a water spout that comes on shore.
Yeah, little data drop there too. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a really good looking circulation, and by good looking, I mean very tight, very organized right here. Kind of headed right into Ocracoke here. So I would say, I don't know what they're going to do with this.
All the more reason that I guess we're still sitting here.
Yeah. We may, this is interesting. Let me go back to the reflectivity. And yeah, it's got that hook echo. It's got, God, is that a spray signature?
So we are right by Ocracoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in the inlet there. Okay. I don't have any cameras.
Yeah, but there's your circulation right there.
All right.
I'll take that double wide. I'll take this.
Yeah. So this is actually potentially going to slip right through that inlet, right between Portsmouth and Portsmouth and Ocracoke.
Right. Yep. There it is. There's your circulation right there. It's good looking. Yeah, I mean, it's a good looking supercell. And again, this is where, and honestly, this is where the instability has been maximized for much of the day. Some of that Gulf Stream effect and everything else there. So yeah, this could be, this is worth monitoring over the next few minutes. I feel like it's maybe
worth defining for folks that a special marine warning gets an orange box on radar, and that is essentially a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning or a water spout over water. That's what the Weather Service will issue when severe weather is happening over water, and it largely affects mariners. But if this were to come on land, as it potentially could here very briefly near Ocracoke, they would issue a tornado warning because of its interaction with land.
Yeah, and you can see that thing is still, I mean, God, that might go right parallel here. You can see this is a very, very tight circulation.
Can you put that in motion last couple frames? Oh, yeah. To see, because I know I said it was heading for that. Okay, so we do have a new tornado warning issued just now for Dare and Hyde counties. That is this exact location.
Yep. I had a feeling. We'll see the polygon come up on the screen here in a second. I'm going to switch away from radar scope back to the other machine here real quick. Let me do that. Let me get that set up here. And yeah, so here is your so there's your tornado warning right here, Dare and Hyde. We had a feeling that this would happen. And sure enough, it has. So again, this is Ocracoke, Hatteras. And this goes, those are, you got two circulations in there, but the warning is on the Ocracoke storm, and it's moving northeast at 50. So Frisco, Portsmouth Village, Hatteras Ferry Terminal, Ocracoke Ferry Terminal, Ocracoke Lighthouse. A few of the places that the Weather Service has called out for the potential for a tornado here. And again, this is a very, very, tight and well-defined circulation. Unlike some of the circulations that we've been talking about a few minutes ago, these are more supercellular in nature. There's so they're more standalone, and as a result, they compete less for energy. And so this is moving northeast at 50. So again, if you got this warning, time to go, because these are hauling. These are moving very, very, very fast, and you're not going to have a lot of time to really, to do much of anything, substantial, looking forward or anything like that. We definitely don't want you doing that. Don't try to look for it, because you're not going to see it. Um, it's going to come on very, very quickly here. So, kind of reconfiguring a couple tools here, and unfortunately, there is a small bit of confusion in that marine warnings on this radar are in blue. So, wanted to call as well, just so everybody knows the difference there. So, yeah, let's go to the analyst here. So, this is the let's look at that NROT product now, and you can see this is a little more what we look for. This is 1.72. This is approaching 2 units here of normalized rotation, very near Ocracoke, and that's serious. I mean, that is a very, very, very strong circulation, and you see this data drop in the middle here. That is that's a sign that it's very, very turbulent in there. And is very likely strengthening. I would not be shocked if this thing had something down on the water right now. NROT value is about 1.6, 1.7, running really almost. If we put this in motion here, it looks like it's going to come up shore. Let's see here. See if I have a road punched in. Yeah, this is going to come ashore right around State Road 12 here. You can kind of see the satellite view. What I'll do actually is I will turn on the high resolution satellite view, so you may be able to see a little bit more here. And give it just a second to load in. This little higher resolution satellite view kind of coming in now. This will give you a better idea as to what to expect. And again, this is kind of blended together from a bunch of different images. So, there's going to be some data discontinuity there, but this gives you a general idea of what we're looking at right now for Ocracoke. There's State Road 12. If there's one bit of good news in this, it looks like it might stay just to the south of this highly populated town of Ocracoke. More on the more along the beaches here, but again, if you're in Ocracoke right now, even though this may just miss, I would say get in that safe place, because you're still going to have some heavy rain and some gusty wind regardless. But yeah, that's a nasty, nasty, nasty rotation here, man.
Yep, that's right. It's 8:18 p.m. on this Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I'm James Brierton. That's Jared Smith. We are continuing to track severe weather in the Carolinas at this hour. At this minute, we have tornado warnings in effect for Dare and Hyde counties. These are near the Outer Banks along the coast of eastern North Carolina. We have updated the video titles. If you're watching us on some platforms, including Facebook and YouTube and the likes, we had a tornado warning in Sampson County earlier. That has since been cleared off the map. We've tried to update the titles in as many places as possible, but if you are just joining us and happen to still see those titles, Sampson County is in the clear. We are now watching for Dare and Hyde counties. So if you know anybody out there in eastern North Carolina, go ahead, share this link with them and let them know that we're continuing to track these storms, Jared.
Yep, absolutely. And again, I want to point out too that this is the only warning that we have. This is all we got. So this is the one thing here. The severe thunderstorm warning we were talking about a little bit earlier over in Sampson County, that has expired. That's been replaced with special weather statement, gusty winds, heavy rain. We'll keep an eye on those. But really, the main danger here right now is for Ocracoke, and we'll zoom in on this again. That is a very, very tight rotation coming up on. I'm just going to do a little computation here, and unfortunately, it does not come through on the screen here the way that I would like it to, but I mean the shear is about 80 knots, and that is very respectable. Again, looks like this is getting very close to land now, probably coming ashore, in a matter of moments here, just to the east of Ocracoke along State Road 12, and this looks like this is gonna jump. I mean, this is gonna make the leap here too. So we'll see. We'll see where this ultimately ends up. But if you're in Ocracoke right now, then right now is the time to be in your safe place. If you're in Hatteras right now, I wouldn't mess around too. You got another thunderstorm on top of you that has some broad rotation. I wouldn't mess with that. Just be in that safe place. You are in the tornado warning polygon. We'll see what happens with this supercell near Ocracoke. But I mean, that's really spinning up there. We got It looks like it just tightened up to over 100 knots of shear. Um, and yeah, I mean we're at about 100 knots of shear here with this right now, approaching Ocracoke. So this is a pretty dangerous storm, to put it mildly. And again, there's your hook echo, there's your circulation. I don't know how much we're gonna see on correlation coefficient. So again, this is a kind of a unique situation in which um, I'm just not sure what we're gonna see uh, there. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll certainly be watching this, and I've got. Let me see here. I'm keeping an eye on some. Hatteras Inlet has a webcam there that I'm watching. So far, so good. Nothing crazy there, but I'm going to keep that kind of open there because I do want to see what this looks like. Again, we'll do the normalized rotation product, and you can see that the mesocyclone. Again, we can't see the tornado itself. We're looking about 4,000 feet up into the storm. So this is the rotating thunderstorm. If there is a tornado, it's going to be under the. It's going to be relatively near here. If there's a water spout coming ashore, it's probably making its move right now. If I had to guess, right on shore here, just to the east of Ocracoke proper. And again, this is a rotation product. This helps. This helps us kind of get through the cut through the noise a little bit. You see, put the velocity product up, and you can see. I mean, that's a pretty sane way to go about it, but. When we do the rotation product here, this is a little bit easier for us to show you where the danger is, and where that circulation is and where things are beginning to intensify. And certainly right to the east of Ocracoke right now is our main area of concern. Some broad rotation near Hatteras. This, based on kind of plotting this out. And I'm going to get an update on the storm motion vector here real quick. And what I can do is I can do a little rudimentary storm track here. And looks like this is going to pass to the west of Hatteras. Still going to get some heavy rain out of it, I think. But right now, the way this looks is that this is going to this may just miss. But again, if it turns right, then Hatteras is right into it. So sometimes these tornadic supercells can make a right turn and strengthen, and so Hatteras, you very, very much still under the gun here for the time being, as the circulation essentially crosses over Ocracoke, right near Ocracoke right now. So let me remove that storm track here. Again, we're going to be watching to see if this makes a right turn. Hopefully it doesn't, but that's certainly something that we have to keep an eye on here. I'm going to take myself off for the time being. So again, this is just so you guys so I can move around a little bit. Unfortunately, the microphone I usually use is having some issues, so I've had to use the boom mic, and I try not to use the boom mic for these, but so it goes. Keeping in mind too that we have another one. We have another one right here. That is extraordinarily tight here. This is about a 1.7 normalized rotation. That's a good looking supercell there. Kind of, I mean, this is, maybe about, 10, 15 miles east of Morehead City. This is going to run parallel again, and this could get close enough to where Morehead City may need to issue another tornado warning. We've got another circulation here. We got circulations everywhere. And, but right now, the one that is of most concern, crossing very near Ocracoke right now. So give me just a second here. Getting some GIS up real quick so I can, give as accurate of a look as possible. Here, let me do that. Let me zoom that out a little bit, and then I'm gonna do so. Apologies there, but yeah, certainly, we've been getting some comments about Harker's Island, and that was the cell that was to the south of that was looking pretty good too. But again, right now, if we are looking at this is Let's do this a little bit more here. Let me just kind of scrolling around. Um, but yeah, this is getting into yeah, yeah. So core sound, uh, yeah, in that area here right now is under the gun. So again, this is emerging back over water right now, um, and so that is, if there's any good news in that, it's that it is going to that it is it is crossing over, so to speak. But yeah, there's it's crossing. Let's see. It looks like it's going to go outside of the ferry there, and again, kind of just exiting the by the Ocracoke Beach, by the campground there, Highway 12. Looks like that is where it is exiting there. So again, this is about to come. This is about to cross over. I'm going to put my face back here. This is about to cross over the Ocracoke kind of island here right now. It's going to get very close to Hatteras. And areas like Frisco, Hatteras certainly right now want to be in a safe place for sure. So so that is certainly one thing that we're going to need to keep a close eye on there for Hatteras Island here in the next little bit. The Hatteras Ocracoke Ferry, it's going to get very close to that. So certainly, and we see on the reflectivity here, see this little donut hole. That's a pretty good telltale sign of a very strong rotation, something called a bounded weak echo region. And what that means is basically you have an area of kind of lighter returns surrounded by an area of stronger returns. So it is a weak echo because this is all just radar echoes, just echoes back to the radar around a very strong circulation. You could almost say that it's calling it the eye of the storm is a little dramatic and a little and not quite exactly what we would be looking for as far as terminology goes, but certainly is analogous to that. As this now gets out of there, but I suspect that we're going to see an update shortly from Morehead City on the tornado warning here. Let me just going over to this other machine here and see what they're going to say. Yeah, so I'm just reading some of the Weather Service reports here. We don't have an update here yet on this tornado warning, but I would say that right now in Ocracoke, the danger is now to your north. If you're in the town of Ocracoke, the danger is now to your north. I think you're going to be in good shape to come out of the tornado safe place at this point as we watch that storm. There's another storm. Again, we've had some chatter around Harker's Island here, and this is a very healthy supercell that, with any luck, will continue to only just parallel the coast and stay offshore. We want to see this stay offshore because it has a very tight circulation with it. And again, the main risk is going to continue to migrate eastward over time this evening. Looking at let's see, just taking a peek at cameras. Don't see anything. Don't see anything too obnoxious there. If you have any reports out of Ocracoke, if anybody knows anybody on Ocracoke and can relay to us conditions on the ground, that would be most helpful. So we can kind of figure out, what's happened there. If there's anywhere near around the campground, Highway 12. And the tornado warning has been canceled. It has expired. So the tornado warning has ended. It's be likely replaced with a special marine warning, given that it is once again now emerged back over water to the west of Ocracoke Island. So that is good, and that means we have another tornado warning now. Let's see, where is that other tornado warning? Don't think it's anywhere in the Carolinas. Oh no, it's gone. So the tornado warnings are gone. We have no active tornado warnings at this point. Um, the tornado warning that was affecting Dare and Hyde has been allowed to expire, which is excellent news. So that is dropping off the board. We still have a very tight circulation here, but this is now getting back over water. So likely, they're likely they've and just as I talked about it, they're punching up a marine warning right now, a special marine warning for this very dangerous storm. I mean, this is still a very tight circulation, but it now no longer is going to affect land. So again, if you're in Ocracoke, Hatteras, onshore, I think you're all right at this point. Again, this looks like it's going to stay to the north. It's going to stay west of Hatteras and safely over the water. So with that in mind, again, I'm going to take a look at some of the other storms. Let me take it. Let me take the full view for you guys too, real quick. I'm going to back that out. Before we go, I want to call out, just a couple things, that we've been seeing. Again, we have a line of thunderstorms loosely associated with cold front, stretching east of Charleston through Wilmington right now, up into Greenville, North Carolina, into Virginia Beach. And those areas are, we're seeing some gusty winds, we're seeing some heavy downpours, maybe a little bit of lightning at times, but right now no severe weather with those. However, there is still the possibility, there's still a little bit of instability available where we could see a brief tornadic circulation. We'll go back to the local radar here, and again, I want to call out that just because we do have this one storm that has moved inland, or back over the water rather, with that circulation, we have two other supercells very near Morehead City, just offshore, and it's going to get close. So again, these are near Cape Lookout right now. These are going to head back. These two circulations, one of which is have been producing a pretty clear tornado vortex signature on the radar. So the radar algorithm is basically pointing out, it's like, yeah, there's probably something here. This is going to continue to move parallel to the coast, and my concern is that we could see this continue to pose an issue over time. So yeah, let me move that back. So yeah, there's your tight circulation here just east of Davis, and we can kind of lapse that a little bit, and you can see it's been moving parallel, and we hope that continues. But again, if you're near Hatteras, I mean, this is if this can hold on, if this guy can hold on, we may. Let me see if I can do something here. And then I'm going to put a storm track on it. That would put it in Hatteras within the hour, and very near Ocracoke in the next 30-45 minutes. So again, I think what we're going to do, we've got stuff going on here. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to stand down on the stream for the moment, just to kind of catch breath. And I got to deal with some technical issues that I've been kind of fighting over here. The reason why I'm leaning into the microphone is because I usually have a law and it's not working. So we're going to temporarily step away from the stream. What I may do is, I think we're going to temporarily step away from the stream, and we're going to keep an eye on these, because I don't like the trajectory of this storm near sea level headed towards Hatteras. So again, I think the main issue right now that we're watching is going to be the areas along the Outer Banks, Cape Lookout, Ocracoke, Hatteras, those areas. I think those are going to be the main concern for the next little bit. We do have the line of thunderstorms further inland. We do, when we are seeing that. And it's not, it's not a bad looking line of thunderstorms here. Let's put that one into motion, and you can see it's not a bad looking line here. We have a lot of folks in New Bern from the chat tonight. And you're going to have a line of thunderstorms, gusty winds, maybe some, just some strong gusty winds, maybe coming through there. But again, no severe warnings on this line right now, and we hope we can keep it that way. That would be great. I'd love to have nothing more than to not deal with any more warnings tonight. But yeah, I'm a little spooked. I'll tell you, and maybe we will stay here for a bit. Actually, I'm a little spooked. We got a good number of folks on here right now, and again, we don't have any active warnings. Don't have any active tornado warnings on land. But I'm keeping it here because I do not like the potential path of this supercell that we've got the storm track on. It's very near sea level, Davis, in Carteret County. And again, this has been exhibiting, has been a pretty good exhibitor of strong rotation now for at least the last half hour, 45 minutes. And I'm not sure, and again, we'll want to see if this, we'll want to see what this does. This is moving at a pretty decent clip, and so far so good as far as like the storm vector here. But if it stays on its current path, Hatteras is going to be in the line of fire in the next hour. So, again, a lot can happen between now and then. And, this is not us issuing, I want to be clear, we're not issuing a warning for Hatteras, but kind of a, let the weather service do that. But we want folks there to continue to watch the weather here for the next little bit. Because these are still some pretty powerful cells, and definitely worth watching. And then there's another one right behind it. I mean, we have I like to call it the conga line of supercells, and we have another one right behind it. Here's a second circulation right there, not quite as well defined as this one, but certainly kind of coming in right behind it. This might get close to I don't know what station that is, but this is that's that one might scrape land. So, we're going to have to, pay attention to these guys that are over the water here. Normally we're okay, but in this particular case, we're going to have to watch that. Yeah, that's it. Right at Cape Lookout. So, if you're at Cape Lookout, look out. I don't know if there's any other way I could put that. I'm sorry. But because, yeah, we got this little circulation right here, and this looks like this, if based on this trajectory here, if I put it kind of move it back and forth here a little bit. On that trajectory, we could see this circulation skim Cape Lookout if it holds up. So we'll want to keep an eye on that. For the moment, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to kind of do a middle ground here. I'm going to kill the audio. I'm going to put on a little music, and just loop the radar. We're just going to loop the radar Weather Channel style here for the next little bit. I'm going to remove that storm track here. That's not really going to do me much good. We're going to loop the radar here for a few minutes. I'm going to make some adjustments on my side. But what this will do is I should be able to see the, we'll be able to see the tornado warning. And then if a new tornado warning is issued, then we can go right back. We'll be right back here. Right back here. Music stops. We're back here. So that is what I'm going to do. And let me add that, and let me do a little background music here. All right. I don't see the background music loading. That's not good. That's not great. You don't want to hear me sing, that's for sure. That'd be terrible. Yeah, so what we'll do, I guess that's not going to work today. Okay, that's weird. All right, well, so much for that. What we'll do is I'm just going to make a caption that says, yeah. And then do that. And we will do that. And we will do that. And we will say that. And there we go. So again, we're going to keep an eye on this. I'm going to keep the radar up for you guys so you can watch, so we can watch this closely. And then if a warning is issued, if we got to come back in, we'll be right back here. So again, on behalf of James and Charlotte, I'm Jared in Charleston. thank you for watching. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on this here for the next little bit. Uh, enjoy the radar feed, and if we have to break back in, we will absolutely do that. So we will see you again. Hopefully hopefully not too soon, but if it does become a problem, we'll be right here for you. So we'll keep this going. We'll keep this radar going for about an hour or so, until these storms kind of get out of here. The good news is that we're seeing that line come in, so we should be able to get this out of here. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna go fix my mic, and we will see you all here in a little bit. And if you have any reports, please stick them in the chat. I'm still watching chat. So thanks, y'all.
I'm James Brierton. You're watching live severe weather coverage from the Carolina Weather Group. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning until 9 o'clock. This is for New Bern area of eastern North Carolina, including Pitt, Martin, and Beaufort counties. Let's go ahead here and we'll get this up on radar for you, and we'll explain to you what's happening here. This is further inland than what Jared Smith was bringing you a few minutes ago on the Carolina Weather Group. This is for the area that includes East Carolina University, and you can see that this tornado warning also does include areas including the cities of Robertsonville and just outside of Winterville, and of course, Greenville, North Carolina. If we switch on over to look at velocity right now, we can see that the area that is most likely the area of circulation is right on in here. So this is on the eastern side of Greenville, North Carolina, just outside of East Carolina University. And this is going to be moving to the north and to the east here, downstream towards Bear Grass in the next couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put this into motion for you, but I want to show you less frames than what it's currently set for, because I really want to zero in on what the trajectory of this has been over the course of the last few minutes. And you can see the area of circulation where the green and the red came together in the last few minutes was right on in here, just on the northern side of Winterville as it came towards the Greenville metropolitan area and right over East Carolina University. So this tornado warning here will go into effect, or will continue. That should be for the next 10 minutes or so until 9 o'clock, as we continue to track this thunderstorm moving to the northeast at a very quick 55 miles an hour. Our friends at WeatherStem do have a camera for us situated there in Greenville, North Carolina. And I'm going to go ahead here and get you that live picture courtesy of WeatherStem. This is over the campus of East Carolina University that saw that potential tornado in the last few minutes. This is a still picture, but you can see how cloudy and how foggy and how rainy it is. And like so many of the other storms we've been seeing tonight, Jared, that is a good indication that, again, you're not going to be able to see these tornadoes. They are rain wrapped. But again, if you live right now in these counties in eastern North Carolina, it is time to head to your safe place. Beaufort, Martin, and Pitts County, tornado warning in effect until 9 p.m. Welcome back in now, Jared Smith, who's been with you here on the Carolina Weather Group as we continue to track this severe weather, Jared.
I take my dog out for 5 minutes.
And here we are.
We're back. Which is fine. There's a reason why we left the stream up. And, again, we were watching these storms. As it turns out, it's not the ones that I thought they were going to be. But we may yet be dealing with these at some point. So stay tuned on that. But right now here's a line. It's in the line. You get these embedded storms within the line of storms, and you're here, and you're hearing me okay, right? I want to make sure that I switch microphones. Cool. All right. So yeah, let's again, rotation product will do us well here. And again, this is right inside the 264 loop here. 264 alternate, and then here is just regular old highway 264. It's about to cross State Highway 33 right here, where 264 kind of empties into it. So very shortly here. Again, here's Greenville, North Carolina. Here's kind of the town center here. When we look ahead using some of this higher resolution imagery, we get to, there's still population, populated areas here, getting into maybe a little bit less densely populated as we go. But again, you see that rain there, that rain wrap circulation near Greenville. Let's take a look at the correlation coefficient. And if there's one bit of good news here, is that I don't see anything that indicates that debris is an issue. We actually have a new debris detector, if I can find it. Which button was that again? There we go. So right now the debris detection kind of probability algorithm here, you notice there's no data on the screen. That's good. We like when there's no data on the screen for this product. We're big fans of that. So again, Greenville right now, Bear Grass, Robertsonville, pretty soon it's going to cross State Highway 30, run parallel to 903 North. Again, let me see if and again, it's not your traditional, strong circulation. There might be another maybe a new circulation trying to get going here. Let me tweak the storm motion vector here, get a little bit clearer view. Yeah, there might be one or two. There's a little broader around Greenville, but then you have the other circulation here that's getting close to Highway 30. So that's certainly interesting. There, and again, we have a even broader, but again, we're looking a little bit higher up. Yeah, this is tightening again, guys. This is this is definitely starting to look a little bit better. Circulation wise, as it gets close to State Highway 30 here in the next minute or so. It's moving northeast at 55. So again, you got to be where you're going to be real fast, because these are not fooling around when it comes to forward speed.
And I think the good news as we look at your radar there is because it's moved outside of the immediate metropolitan Greenville area, it is beyond now East Carolina University. Although this circulation in the last few minutes did get very close there also, the Greenville Mall would have been amongst the areas of interest. We'll welcome in, we'll open up his mic. Frank Strait is with us tonight from Columbia, South Carolina, where we are continuing to track the radar behind Jared here, Frank, at this nearly 9 o'clock hour. A tornado warning in effect until the top of the hour for Beaufort, Martin, and Pitt County. And for those of you just joining the stream, we see some of these questions. This is the only warning we have to tell you about right now. This at this point in the evening is a Eastern North Carolina severe weather tracking. All other areas of North Carolina and South Carolina are for the most part in the clear. We have a new polygon updated there, Jared.
Yeah, and again, so the good news with this polygon is that Greenville, you're out. If you were in Greenville, Lynn here has a wonderful report that she shared with us in chat. Please tell us what you're seeing in chat. That is super helpful to us. But we have very heavy rain, not a lot of wind, and that's what we like to hear. And the radar certainly bears that out at this point. The windy part is now to your northeast. The tornado warning is over in the town of Greenville. Beargrass, Robersonville, you're still under the gun though. For the next little bit here, we'll set this into, we'll get this back up here. I'll do the rotation product. We have that broader rotation to the north, but this is the one that we've been kind of watching here. This is what we've been watching right here, and this is about to cross Highway 30, State Highway 30, and then looks like there's another. I don't know if that's like a utility thing or like the tertiary road or something. I don't have GIS wise, but it's running parallel to State Highway 903. So we're just about to cross Highway 30 here in the next few minutes. So and again, this has got designs on. Let me get an updated storm motion vector real quick, and let me do a little storm track. This has designs on being in bare grass within the next 10 or 15 minutes tops. So if you're in bare grass right now, the call to action is, get into that interior room on the lowest floor, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible.
Let's pull up for those of you just joining us here at the 9 o'clock hour. We'll go on over and show you the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for the remainder of the night. Quick reset here. You can see we have that slight risk, the tier 2 out of 5 for Eastern North Carolina, marginal risk around it, but this is essentially for I-95 and to the east in Eastern North Carolina, while we have clouds and rain and ugly wedge in other parts of the Carolinas. This is where at the 9 o'clock hour, the severe weather threat does kind of hold on. And we'll wait to see what the Weather Service does here, but we are still seeing indications, Jared, that the storm is still trying to rotate. So although the tornado warning does expire in the next 4 minutes, we'll wait to see if the Weather Service decides to extend that.
Yep, absolutely. And again, this is a situation where, they spin up, they spin down, they spin up, they spin down. It's just going to be, that's the way it goes with these. We have a lot of shear. We don't have a lot of instability. It's just the way that this is going to rock and roll here. So again, bare grass for the next few minutes. Please be in a safe place. Williamston, this is going to get close, but let's see if it, even holds up. Again, this has been trending weaker over the last couple scans. So you kind of had that. We'll kind of put it in motion here. Actually, you know what I forgot about? I forgot. I can do this really cool thing where we have a little sum button. So you can see the storm. All right, so here we go. Yeah, this is the past storm track.
Ooh, nice.
The past 60, 90 minutes or so. And you can see those areas where it kind of peaked up and spun down and peaked up and spun down. And now we're in spin down phase again, and hopefully we can stay in one. So that's a useful tool for sure. I would be negligent if we did not call out. There's no warning here, but again, I'd be negligent if we did not call out back to the Outer Banks too, where we have a couple supercells, another supercell getting very close to Ocracoke now. There's no tornado warning on it, but you can see here from the velocity data, it is rotating and it's spinning quite nicely. This one has been spinning for a while and is certainly something that we're going to want to keep an eye on. And there's another one just past Cape Lookout, pretty tight little circulation there. It's a little bit to the east of that. But again, I'm calling this out for folks in Hatteras. Definitely would want people there to be watching this, because right now, with the way that this is tracking, this holds up. If this can hang on, we may have some rough weather coming up in Hatteras within the next half hour.
Let's bring in Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina, for some of his thoughts here on this Wednesday night. Frank.
Well, certainly the area to watch, the closer you are to the coast where you have thunderstorms, that's where you're going to have the best combination of shear and instability right now. And that's confined to eastern North Carolina. The areas farther west, it's kind of been a dud of a severe weather situation today. We ended up not getting any instability at all, really, and kept much in the way of thunderstorm activity from going at all. And the high winds that we thought could happen outside of the storms also didn't materialize for largely the same reason. But we are dealing with these storms that are over eastern North Carolina now. And again, a little while longer. It looks like the last couple of radar scans here, the rotation doesn't look as impressive as it's heading toward Beargrass, and that's a good thing. And also a thing to keep in mind here is that the radar beam is way above the ground in this area because there's no radar nearby. And it looks like they just canceled the warning, actually. My polygon just disappeared off of my radar display. Yep. So hopefully they've canceled it.
Yeah, 9 o'clock it expired.
That's right. 9 expires at 9. So
yep. So that's expired and has been replaced by one giant Hawking special weather statement.
Wow. So makes sense.
So, but again,
yeah, as you mentioned, check those areas of rotation off the Outer Banks right now. There's one pretty impressive one just east of Morehead City. There's one, like you said, right off of Ocracoke too. So the two really good supercells we have to keep an eye on. There's one way offshore too from the Outer Banks, but there's three out there to keep an eye on. But one probably won't interact with land. The other two just might. It'll be something to watch very carefully in the coming minutes here.
This one is near Ocracoke. I mean, once again, Ocracoke, maybe for the second time tonight, we might be running into trouble for you guys.
That's deja vu all over again from 45 minutes ago.
We've been threading the needle here a little bit. We've been threading the needle with this a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty significant. I mean, that's the 1.6 units of normalized rotation. That is significant. And does it have twins? Oh right. Man! Oh my goodness! Oh wow! Where's Dan Whitaker?
Yeah, and we're going to have to keep an eye on the line farther west too. I mean, things could spin up pretty quickly. There is just a pretty strongly sheared area. There's just hardly any instability to work with back there right now.
Yeah. Yep. We have a new tornado warning for Dare and Hyde. So,
there you go.
Tuning in an hour ago, we're back doing the same thing. So yeah, we have a new tornado warning for Dare and Hyde counties.
Yeah, there it is. That goes until 9:30. This is for a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It's radar indicated, like so many of the storms we've had tonight. We don't have the visibility. It's too dark. It's too foggy. It's too rainy to really have eyes on the ground for these. But this is exactly another potential waterspout situation coming on shore here as we are watching these one after another rotating thunderstorms coming off those waters and interacting with land. So 9:02, Ocracoke, Hatteras. If you are going, I just got another tornado warning. Is this a duplicate or is this a new one? This is a new one. This is the second one for tonight.
Yeah, this is the second one, and again, it's a lot of the same areas. Ocracoke, Hatteras. I mean, you're back in it. They drew it a little bit narrower this time, but Yeah, that's and again, we were just kind of looking at, maybe twins here, but the weather service warning, it's until 9:30. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Portsmouth Village, or 17 miles east of Cedar Island, moving northeast at 50. So there's your positioning here. And again, this is going to get very close once again, too close for comfort to Ocracoke, which has already had a circulation cross the island, just to the east of town. Here. And again, it looks like if you're in Ocracoke, you're going to see your winds pick up. You're going to see your rain pick up for sure. And then Hatteras, you may be next. And again, I've been worried about the storm for Hatteras for a little while, and certainly could kind of parallel the coast here as it heads head there. So that's going to be that's certainly a concerning situation. And then there's another supercell, again, there's another supercell that's further south that could cause a problem here in maybe another hour. So it's really, it's just one of those nights where we have the conga line. And Frank, to your point, as this line gets closer into this, a little bit more favorable environment, we could see that line begin to pick up too.
Yeah, sure could. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And like I said, there's plenty of shear there, just not enough instability to really work with.
Yeah, that's why we're seeing all the good stuff over the ocean. Is that
right? Right, exactly. That's where the instability is, because the ocean's warm.
Mm-hmm.
So it's adding heat into the low levels there.
Showing viewers in our top left box kind of the big regional picture right now. You can see this line is completely offshore in South Carolina. This line is completely to the east of I-95 in eastern North Carolina. So if you are to the west of Interstate 95, or you're in any portions of South Carolina, the severe threat has moved past you now, and we're continuing to watch it kind of come through the Wilmington, Jacksonville, Greenville, those areas, and to the east, including the Outer Banks of North Carolina here. As Jared put it pretty well, it's kind of a training situation.
Yeah, it's the old conga line. We usually see this with tropical systems, but again, this is a pretty this is a pretty healthy environment, right here at the Outer Banks. And again, we've had storm after storm. Get a little further north, it gets a little less favorable, but I mean, this guy, just to the east of Morehead City, that's got a Be Weird that's got the whole smash. It has a really nice classic supercell look to it. But again, when we go back to Ocracoke here, let me do the rotation product. And we have one, maybe two.
Getting nailed there pretty good on Ocracoke. If not from the tornado, then they're getting some blinding downpours for sure, and maybe some pretty good straight line winds with this. The rotation looks still fairly impressive to me. No sign of any debris signature, but the rainfall rate's got to be pretty impressive on the west side of Ocracoke right now. Just looking at these dual pole products and reflectivity together, there's just a really intense downpour over there right now.
And I think it goes without saying that if you're tuning in for our weekly Wednesday 9 p.m. podcast, we are preempting that tonight as we continue to track severe weather across the Carolinas. We'll be back next week with all new edition. Weather permitting, it will be about earthquakes in South Carolina with Steve and Jomaine from the College of Charleston will be the guest. You can unlock that right now by becoming a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group. But until then, we're going to stay with this severe weather coverage as we continue to track a tornado warning in Dare and Hyde counties along the Outer Banks, along the coastal barrier islands of eastern North Carolina.
Yep, thank you, James. And again, right now, looking at that rotation, that pretty good looking signature just off the beach at this point at Ocracoke Island here. And earlier we were talking, we were seeing these are pretty impressive rain rates here. And it's probably raining very hard right now on Ocracoke. If you're looking for a tornado, you're not going to see it. That's for sure.
Right. At first it's dark. Second, the rain's just blinding. And third, if there's a tornado, it's likely to be on the other side of the rain from you.
Yep.
Unless you're in a boat off of Ocracoke right now.
If you're in a boat off of Ocracoke, I don't know if you're not scared out of your wits,
Right.
you can find
Not a place I'd want to be right now.
If you can find some cell service, we'll be glad to put you in on the stream. But I mean, this is still a pretty good looking rotation. Again, using the rotation tool, which has been really good tonight. You can see that strong area, about 1 unit of normalized rotation, and that's usually what we look for. That's strafing the coast here right now. That is, and again, this is the area where the mesocyclone is. This is not necessarily looking at the ground, so this is not saying the tornado is smack dab in the middle of that. Very likely isn't. And again, keep in mind that radar is time lagged. Radar is showing you what has already happened. So again, little temporal mechanics and flux to deal with there, but certainly right here in this area where we have this strong indication of rotation, and there may be something there, just strafing the coast, and we just have no way to know unless somebody's out there and sees it, and that really is not advisable at this point. If there's one bit of good news, is that these are moving fast. These are moving at 55 miles an hour. These are hauling, and you won't deal with it for very long. You won't have to be in that safe place for too long of a time period.
Kim watching on YouTube asking, is she safe right now in South Carolina? Yes, the severe threat for South Carolina is over, as Frank alluded to before, and the most part didn't even come together in South Carolina today, but the chances of it are now gone for South Carolina, and we are dealing here just with the eastern portions of North Carolina. As you can see in our top left quadrant here, we'll go ahead and bring this full. You can see right now what's left of this line, which is doing pretty decent for 9 o'clock at night when the energy would otherwise be kind of diminished as opposed to having the sun during the day. We have special weather statements right now stretching right across eastern North Carolina from the Virginia border down to the coastal areas of Jacksonville. That's that tan box. Special weather statement is just the National Weather Service's way of saying this is a significant enough thunderstorm, heavy rain that you're going to notice it. Doesn't quite rise to the level of a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, but we do have one tornado warning. That's where our focus is right now, and that's what Jared Smith's been showing you in that red polygon there for portions of Dare and Hyde County, for the towns of Hatteras and Ocracoke, right there along the outer banks of North Carolina, where we're continuing to look to see if we get any new information in from the National Weather Service or from officials. Visibility right now on any of our webcams is very dark. Obviously, the sun is down, it's cloudy, it's rainy, it's foggy. So this is probably not going to be, if there is a tornado, anything that you're going to be able to see. So we just want you to get to that safe place right now, which is inside a sturdy structure, as low down in that building with as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. What that means for you might be different than for somebody else. This is all a game of probability. You just want to pick what is the best option available to you right now if you're on any of these islands. I may have lost your mic there, Jared. I saw your mouth move. Oh, you're muted. I'll unmute you. There you go.
There we go.
That never happens.
That never happens on this show. Goodness, Scotty's working tonight, so somebody's got to do it, right? So the circulation has crossed over Ocracoke, basically in the same place where the earlier circulation crossed over Ocracoke. So there it is, right here. Again, just to the northeast of town. There's your donut hole. There's your Beware. I swear that this is a current radar image. It looks a lot like it did an hour ago, but this is a current radar image, folks. And this is and again, this is right just to the northeast of Ocracoke. I wouldn't be surprised if you were seeing some decently strong winds on the back side of this. You can see there's a very tight reflectivity gradient there, maybe a little RFD action in there. So you might be seeing some winds on Ocracoke right now. That'll die down. And again, the one nice thing about these storms today is that they are moving very quickly. And so this will be over for you in Ocracoke in a few minutes. But again, it just crossed right over Ocracoke.
And how the circulation really tightened up just as it went over the island there.
Yeah.
Still has tightened up a little bit. There's in both of the last two scans, there's this 1 pixel with some high velocity values there. So 60 to 70 knots a shear there of gate to gate shear. So that would be interesting. I guess it wouldn't shock me if there if there was a tornado or at least a funnel cloud evident there, wouldn't surprise me if it got reported.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, we saw that earlier too, and yeah, I wonder if maybe it's like frictional effects or something like that. We could theorize for hours.
Probably does have something to do with the sudden change in friction there.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's right. Yeah, that's and it's still a good looking. I mean, it's still a solid, solid circulation. But yeah, we can illustrate that there. Yeah, there's another. Yeah, the NROT went up to about 1.2 units, and then it started to fall back off a little bit. So again,
and for anyone just joining us, this is showing us the rotation.
Yes, normalized rotation. So this is a tool that helps us. Typically we'll show you this view. This is the wind's going towards and the wind's going away. But what this does is that this lets us kind of cut through that noise a little bit and show you a little bit more of where, as Kenny Loggins would say, the danger zone is. So again, this is now reemerged over water to the northeast of Ocracoke, and I will suspect that Ocracoke, you're going to probably okay at this point.
I think they just reboxed it. You should have an update coming to your system there momentarily.
Yes, and they just and Ocracoke, you're out. So there you go. The screen hasn't updated, but I have another source that updates a little bit faster. And yes, you are now out of the polygon in Ocracoke. You can come out again until the next one comes. Although that's starting to, although mercifully, it looks like this supercell is starting to kind of cycle down a little bit.
Yeah.
See if that.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good, the one downstream. Although check out the one that's about 20 miles offshore there. That one looks like it's kind of a beast out there that you wouldn't want to drive your SS Minnow through.
So Dare County, you're in the clear. Hyde County, you're with us here until about 9:30 as we continue to watch this thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Yeah, some of these offshore storms are impressive looking on radar.
Right, they sure are.
I mean, if you consider the environment, I mean, earlier I was seeing places, storm relative Felicity, 600, 700 units. I mean, just the Weather Service in Mobile, Brandon Black, one of the forecasters there, put bonkers in the AFD, and that
bonkers.
It was absolutely bonkers, and so that became the meme on Weather Twitter, which was great. We desperately needed a good meme on Weather Twitter, and it was definitely bonkers. And I would say that this certainly qualifies today. I mean, it's a very, very dynamic system that is that's helping these guys along tonight. And we can't, and we'll go back to the tornado warning in a second, but we still have, this quite, pretty decent looking line. It's going to 40, maybe 50 mile an hour winds at times. That's pushing to the east. And once this line gets through, that's it. You're done with severe weather. This is just now left Wilmington. So Wilmington, as far as you're concerned, I mean, you're in good shape. So it's moving through Jacksonville right now, about to get in a New Bern, Greenville. Once this is through, and it's not going to last too long. Once this is through, you're good. You're done. And that will also carry this massive supercells out to sea as well. So let's zoom in. I'm going to zoom back in on this guy, and you'll notice that there is a special marine warning polygon for it as well. But I mean, this is still this is approaching. That's about 100 miles an hour shear there. That's no joke. I mean, that is a solid circulation there. You can see that. If you look at the raw data, it's 118 mile an hour pixel outbound. That's insane. I don't know if that's real or not, but I mean, but around it, 97, 89. Yeah, I mean, there's probably if there isn't a spout with this, I'd be stunned.
Well, and that's where, it's going to be very hard to see, obviously, from shore out over the dark waters, but we'll continue to monitor for any sort of reports out of Dare, Hyde counties, other places in eastern North Carolina tonight that have kind of been in these severe weather moments. And that's where you at home really help us as we come up on about 90 minutes of coverage tonight. We're keeping an eye on our live chat. And so we appreciate all you who have been chiming in with what you are seeing, not only maybe in where the areas where some of these storms are, but maybe you're watching from other areas in the Carolinas like Larry is, where he's he's got drizzle and warmer temps there in North Charleston. So we appreciate wherever it is you're watching from. And if you know anybody that might be in Eastern North Carolina tonight, send them a link to the video here on YouTube. Let them know that we're streaming. We're keeping an eye on them just so they're not caught off guard. Obviously, we're getting into the hour where people are going to start heading to bed. And so awareness is probably key here as we continue to watch this line move through Eastern North Carolina. It'd be a good night to keep your weather radio on.
Yeah, at least for the first part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Once we get the line through, then you can actually go to sleep. But until we do in Eastern North Carolina, you're going to have to keep it. Now, everybody else further west in North Carolina and all of South Carolina, we're done. It's there's no severe weather threat for the rest of the night. But
this is where our bullseye remains at this hour. And the good news is the National Weather Service has just canceled the tornado warning for Hyde County. So we are back to a state here at 9:18 where we have no active warnings in the Carolinas. Still watching this line as we've seen over the course of the last 90 minutes or so. We get into a quick moment like this where we regroup, and then the next thing you know, we get a new warning. So we'll hang out with you guys for the next couple of minutes.
Yep, we do have the special marine warning out for these all
That's
these
fair.
supercells.
That's fair.
That's
no
the only
warnings.
thing worth talking. Right, there's no land warnings.
Thunderstorms and tornadoes. Like, no land warnings.
Right, no
Sorry.
land warnings, but the special marine warning's still out there.
Yeah.
The cell that's east of my geography's not the greatest for the Outer Banks, but east of Morehead City, there, the one that's upstream for the one that was just warned. That one looks like it's trying to cycle up again now.
The one coming past Atlantic.
Right.
Yeah. Keep an eye. This is what Frank is talking about right on out here. We don't have any warnings on it right now, but this has kind of been one after another where these have just kind of been marching up here. So we've seen it once, we've seen it twice. Could we see it a third time? We certainly could. While we're between warnings, I'll take a moment just to thank everyone who is maybe new to our channel tonight, has subscribed to us, has maybe left us a super thanks or a super chat. We appreciate you finding us here on YouTube, Carolina Weather Group, and other platforms. We, in addition to doing severe weather coverage, also have a weekly podcast that normally streams in this time slot. So we'll be back next week with our episode with Stephen Jamain from the College of Charleston. He has some excellent insights on why we saw, by his count, over 80 reported earthquakes in a year time span in South Carolina. So you can look for his insights, weather permitting, unless we find ourselves back in the same situation next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Carolina Weather Group.
Yeah. There's another decent cell out there too, southwest of Cape Lookout. It looks like that one's rotating. So you got another one to keep an eye on here as we go through the evening.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a heart. I think that's not the one I want to show. This is the hot zone is North Carolina. Yeah, that's just slightly off of there. So here we go. So here's a report from Ocracoke. Loop Shacker reports in the village had a few house shaking gusts. Rain was driving very heavy. Missed, but a stop for the moment. In fact, we had a very heavy squall.
Two, in fact.
Maybe two. Yeah. So that is that's a really good report, and that kind of that comports nicely with what we were seeing on the radar. So I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, and we had let's see.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually if you could head into Jacksonville or Greenville, one of these more populated areas here, because we're still watching these storms which have breaks in them. Right, we're not just looking at one continuous line, and that's what we could potentially see the kind of the rotation coming out of here. And I know right now you're scanning, Jared, for any areas of radar indicated normalized rotation. It's not nothing's really hopping out to us right now, but we are still getting some very heavy rain. And do you have lightning turned on, or is there no lightning?
I do have lightning turned on, but there's just not much in the way of lightning that I can see, at least from this source here.
Okay.
Reports of flooding, yeah. Radar scope is a little bit, they show more strikes, and so I'm not seeing that either. But
I'm not seeing anything there. So
yeah. So again, these are just very heavy showers.
But reports like the one you just showed a few minutes ago are excellent. It helps us get some ground truth, right? Because we can sit here and we can look at radar, we can try to look at tweets, we can try to look at video, but the human on the ground is the only person who's getting that true sense of what's happening on the ground. And the radar is kind of crossing at thousands of feet up in the air. And depending on how tall that tornado or that water spout is, the radar may or may not even be able to see it. I'm sure Jared right now is probably, along with Frank, taking a look at this update from the Weather Service regarding the overall context to the evening. I'll let you paraphrase what they've just told us in the internal chat that they have with news media.
Yeah, and basically just to, honestly, kind of what we have been saying here for the last little bit is that as the line gets closer to the coast, we could see, some kinks in that line. We could see a couple things spin up, and certainly, this is, these supercells just everywhere offshore.
Let's address this question from Wanda. Is Greenville, presumably North Carolina, going to be safe? So yes, first of all, it's not a mega outbreak. We think everyone's going to be safe tonight, but we just want to enact some caution and some preparedness and some awareness because we have had a few of these thunderstorms try to produce tornadoes. That's where those tornado warnings come in. So Greenville right now, you still have some of the heavy rain that could lead to some localized ponding and flooding of roadways, but we're not aware right now of any potential rotation or tornado situations in the Carolinas at this minute. But as we've seen over the course of the last hour and a half, 2 hours, that can kind of quickly spin up and then disappear again.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting, Wanda, down in Greenville, the line is about past you. It's moving through as we speak. When that line moves on, when that weather begins to calm down for you again, the good news is that your severe threat is done. At that point, this main line is the one that is coming through Greenville literally right now. It had a brief tornado warning on it earlier. I'll take the wide view over here, and yeah, you can see this this thin line of storms literally bisecting Greenville right now, and that's going to get through here in the next 20 30 minutes, and you'll be in good shape. You can go to bed, not having to worry about any severe weather. Really across much of North Carolina. I think when we get into the bedtime hour here soon,
depending on what the bedtime hour is for you.
Yeah, that's true.
We were talking about by midnight. We were talking about lightning, and there are just a couple of strikes, but they're all offshore that radar scope is trying to show over the course of the last 90 minutes or so. So this one offshore of Atlantic, and then there was another one. If I scoot back towards, I think it was Oak Island, Carolina Beach. We had one kind of right here on shore, just offshore, and then another one off of Bald Head Island. So there are a couple lightning strikes out there, but they are right now all offshore where the bulk of that energy is. And, why we're in a moment where we don't have any land-based warnings. I feel like I will give that parameter tonight. No land-based warnings. Frank, we were talking in our internal chat how a lot of the severe weather threat for elsewhere in the Carolinas kind of busted today. It wasn't until after the 7 o'clock hour that we got our first severe weather warning. It was here in eastern North Carolina, but for other areas, Charleston, Columbia, even Charlotte, things never really materialized. We could talk a lot about being socked in the wedge, and we had a 15-degree temperature gradient between uptown Charlotte, and Monroe in neighboring Union County. But I will say, and this is where this thought was coming from, we did get some lightning strikes today in Gaston County, just to the west of Charlotte in the suburbs, which I was kind of like, oh, okay. So it was efforting because I was like, oh, we do have lightning. We do have lightning, but by and large, the threat really is in eastern North Carolina. Frank, that's my soapbox. But I know you had one as well. Frank's muted now, I think.
There, I didn't mute myself, so I didn't know that was going on. Anyway, my soapbox is basically the same as yours. We just ended up stuck in a wedge. We expected the wedge to break a little sooner than it did in South Carolina, and more of a surge of low-level warm air that would scour out the colder air in place. But that's not the way it worked out. It was still pretty chilly even into the midday hours here in Columbia, for example. I had to be out in the rain, taking my girlfriend to an appointment today, and it was just not fun driving around in that. It was pouring rain and I think 48 degrees, and just we weren't breaking the cold air in place, and that stopped everything. In addition to the to the threat for severe weather that we were concerned about. There was also a concern for high winds coming out of the south too, with even outside of thunderstorms maybe gusting up to 40 miles an hour or so. But that ended up not happening. And when you have a wedge, you're not going to get those high winds getting down to the surface, because those warm winds coming out of the south, they're going to ride up and over a colder and thus more dense air that you have at the surface. And so those stronger winds, they just go right over the top of the wedge, and you don't get that to happen either.
Yeah, and what Frank and I referred to when we talk about the wedge is we kind of get socked in almost like a big blanket in the sky made out of clouds. We could do a whole thesis on it, but it just kind of it busts so many forecasts here in the Carolinas. It's so difficult to kind of know exactly where it will be, how intense it will be, and that's what we were stuck in with in Charlotte today, where I am, even closer to the mountains where they get it a lot. And I was talking to Jared on my drive home at 7 o'clock, and I'm driving home. It's dark, right? It's after sunset. And I said to Jared, I just keep feeling like the sun should be up. And it's because we were cloudy all day. My whole circadian rhythm was just off from the lack of sunshine. We'll say hi to Jim. He just subscribed to us here on the Carolina Weather Group on YouTube. Thanks so much. Let's take this question here from Elizabeth watching on YouTube as we continue to watch the radar. No land-based warnings right now. Elizabeth is asking, I live in an apartment complex with no basement. Is an interior walk-in closet sufficient shelter to ride out a warning? The short answer to this question, Elizabeth, is most likely yes. What you are looking for is, and this is, of course, different for everybody, the most interior room that you have available to you with as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. So if that interior walk-in closet ideally doesn't have an outside wall, maybe it's got bedroom, bathroom, or something else adjacent to it, that would be good. A lot of times those bathrooms are not on the outside wall, so that's also an option, but it is a hard choice because the guidance doesn't necessarily apply to 100% of people. It is a game of probability. So it's kind of like, in my situation, how do I stack the odds in my favor? If you happen to live in a house that is exactly like this diagram I'm going to show on the screen here in a second, then it's easy pickings. You're like, oh, I got this bathroom right in the middle. It's got all these walls. I don't have that at my house. I end up under the stairs in a closet that is in the most interior portion of my house. So everybody's situation, we admit, is a little bit different. But Elizabeth, I will give you credit. Oftentimes we'll see people say, should I run downstairs? Should I get in the hallway outside? Anything that takes you outside is probably a bad idea. So if you've got someplace there in your apartment that is most ideal, that would be a good situation for you. Jared, I think you were going to answer Sea Witch's question here.
Yeah, and this is very relevant to our interest in Frisco right now. So again, right now there is a cell. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite show up on my map here, but Frisco is right here at the tip of Hatteras, and there's a circulation there. This circulation is going to pass well to your east. Don't worry about that one so much. But this one here, it's not as organized as it has been, but it could spin back up. This has been a pretty favorable area today. So again, if you're in Frisco, you're not out of the woods yet. Really, nobody's out of the woods until the line gets through. But there may be one that is, getting kind of close. So again, it might be a little bit off of the line here, but yeah, we'll be watching this. There's a couple things here that that we're going to want to keep an eye on. And again, we look further south, and the train of supercells continues, guys. It's it's just very favorable shear out there.
Yeah, and let's turn Frank back on so we get back into our quad box. There it is. And so yeah, it does feel like deja vu all over again.
Yeah, it certainly does, and we'll just have to we'll have to keep an eye on it. Quickly recapping, if you're in Jacksonville, the line is now to your east. You are done. Greenville, the line is getting to your east. You are done. New Bern, the line is kind of broken and not looking great. It's moving into your area right now. Not seeing any immediate signs of any major issues here. There's certainly some wind shifts along the line here, but nothing that's standing out as far as spinnies. So we'll just call them spinnies at this point.
Frank, we have a couple questions from Alex, who's watching tonight on YouTube. I don't know if you want to take those. I can actually put up the LSR map for you as he's asking about storm damage reports.
Okay. Yeah, let's see his question. I'm not seeing it there. So,
Oh, okay.
I don't. Yeah, I haven't seen any.
Nope.
Damage
The
reports
answer is
in my area.
anticlimactic. So I'm sorry. I thought you could see the question ahead of time, and so I apologize for putting you on the spot. But Alex, right now we have 3 official storm reports, and to show you what they are gusty winds near Wayne Municipal Airport, 53 miles per hour. And then outside of the Fayetteville area, a tree is down. And then in Charleston, we had a weather report from the Weather Flow Station at Folly Beach for 44. Let's see, is that going to be knots or miles per hour?
That should be miles per hour since it's
I
a
would
weather
hope.
flow station.
Yeah. So, now, Alex, those storm reports can lag a little bit. The National Weather Service's first and primary goal is to issue warnings, and then they get back to doing the paperwork later. But as we're continuing to watch other things, we're not getting any immediate storm reports and no information right now about the ferry service out there on the Outer Banks. I think these, I'm sure they're watching these cells. They're not continuous, so they can probably squeeze things in between, I would imagine. But your friends would probably know better than I. I'm also noticing we have a mesoscale discussion. I don't think it's been there terribly long.
Just issued, just read it.
So, perfect. Jared Smith, what is a mesoscale discussion? Why is it circled here in blue, and what does it mean?
So, when a forecaster and a set of data love each other very... No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. We can joke with no warnings.
Humor between warnings.
Yeah. So mesoscale discussion is basically the Storm Prediction Center will take a look at an area, kind of issue just basically their synopsis of what's happening right now and what's going to happen maybe in the next couple hours. So in this case, we have a mesoscale discussion really for Eastern North Carolina. And they're essentially calling out just the potential for a couple isolated damaging wind gusts at this point. They did call out the supercells that are offshore, and they did note that with the shelf waters being a little bit cooler, that is helping to disrupt some of the stronger rotation. But they did call that out. They called out that it's going to continue to move east. And that there is still the potential basically for maybe a brief spin up within the line or at a head of the line, or maybe some damaging straight line winds. But it's a very technical discussion, typically consumed by meteorologists just as a situational awareness tool. They broadcast them out to all the weather offices. We get them here, and it's just nice to get a window into what the Storm Prediction Center folks are thinking.
The internet has made what was once internal external.
Very external.
Right. So Kendall is asking, is Greenville in the clear? Yeah, Greenville is in the clear now. If by Greenville you mean the actual metropolitan area, we are continuing to watch right now as this kind of scoots closer to Washington. So Greenville, East Carolina University, you're in the clear. But kind of if you live, I would say, in the eastern suburbs of Greenville, you're still waiting for this line to completely move on out. On the mesoscale discussion point, as I'm looking at the winds here on radar, this is the winds where we might try to first detect whether or not we're seeing any rotation. It's kind of like on in this area as you are just outside Greenville. Greenville's back over here. We're watching possibility. Now, what I found interesting about how they drew this mesoscale discussion, guys, is yes, this is where all the warnings have been. This has been where some of the more recent activity has been. But I'm trying to not get blinders on because I don't want to necessarily forget about, say, Elizabeth City or areas up here closer to Virginia, because they still do have a little bit of a kink in the line. So I don't think it's out of the question that something could try to get going there, even though the mesoscale discussion is kind of, again, drawing me back in to the Outer Banks there.
Well, that's going to be the primary area of concern because that's where we have those supercells just offshore and trying to come ashore. Like, for example, the one we've been following all along the Outer Banks, it looks like that's getting close to Ocracoke again. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. It wouldn't surprise me if we had yet another warning for the Ocracoke area here. So if you're there, let's keep an eye on that cell. The one that has been way offshore, it looks like it's going to be a near miss for Cape Hatteras. It's going to be close, but it looks like a near miss. Then
I
there's
also
the one,
wonder a little bit
south
about
of Cape Lookout too.
And the cell that was the second tornado warning for Ocracoke is still over the water to the north. But I'm kind of wondering a little bit about whether or not it's hard to know whether that's falling apart or just getting too far away from radar as we're continuing to watch whether or not it puts down another water spout or something. Because I think I'm also thinking about these folks over here on whether or not this cell could be something for them in the next few minutes. But anyway, if you live along the Outer Banks right now, keep this phone plugged in if you're watching us on your mobile device, because you just want to make sure that if in the situation where maybe one of these storms were to knock out power or something, you're starting with a full battery. Thanks to Wanda for subscribing and for her questions tonight. And I know we had at least one person in our chat who sent us a storm report from Ocracoke not too long ago. So we'll see if he's still with us. I presume it's a he just based on the historic picture. And we'll wait to see whether or not the National Weather Service, as Frank, you were alluding to, decides to pull the trigger on potentially another land-based tornado warning for all of this. My weather station here at my house in Matthews outside of Charlotte is telling me it's raining again. So thanks, Wedge, for just continuing to kind of, I don't know, it's probably light mist or something, I would imagine.
Probably.
But we already got over an inch of rain today.
Well,
and
this
we got
is
an inch a couple days ago. So
well, hang on. Let me take my regional full, because I think this is the cold front coming through your location.
Right.
This is a few showers being forced along that here. We'll turn on the MEDARs here, and we can start to see temperatures fall back into the 40s and 50s while you're still around 60. Let's Monroe Airport, and that's relatively close to you.
It is.
And you're at 60 right now, but meanwhile uptown you're at 46, and so here's your cold front making its way uptown, so to speak, right now. So
well, here's a live look outside my window.
There you go.
At what are a couple of those raindrops falling across the sky right here in the suburb of Matthews outside of Charlotte. And I do think those are probably raindrops.
Yes. Yeah. If it was Folly Beach, we'd have to say it was snow, but that's
right.
Yeah, that's always the thing. If
I almost forgot I put a camera up there last weekend.
Yeah, we've had a couple questions come in around Cape Carteret, and Soundside Tours reports a 37 miles an hour gust in Cape Carteret, and again, the line is about to come through your neck of the woods there, and again, as we've been talking about, once that line is through you're in good shape, and it's relatively thin. There's not much showing up on here. We can use another rotation tool. There's a little bit of shear there, but nothing too scary as far as how that goes. And so this line will come through, then get some light rain behind it, and then the cold front. So overall, Cape Carteret, I think you're in pretty good shape. We still have these supercells that we're contending with. Hatteras and Ocracoke are just the unlucky place to be tonight. Don't see any signs that we have a new special weather statement. Southeastern Hyde and northeastern Carteret through 10:15, but it's just a special weather statement. So not that it's a special weather statement, right?
It's an extra special one, yeah. While we wait to see what comes next, I want to come back to me here because I'm selfish like that. No, I want to talk about the cold front and its impacts. Take a look on the temperature outside here in Matthews. Since 9:25 in 20 minutes, we've lost 4 degrees. So, this whole thing is being ushered in by an approaching cold front. And so temperatures are going to cool down over the course of the next few days. And as Jared was alluding to, a little bit of rain, a little bit of temperature change here in the I-77 corridor is the cold front back behind the line of storms. This whole thing is going to transition. You wake up tomorrow. We could be looking at low temperatures that will be in the upper 20s near the freezing mark as opposed to in the 40 degrees the last couple of nights.
And that's how it goes in the South in winter. Welcome to the cool season.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And I will just say, and I alluded to this a little bit last night, just because we got thunderstorms in the winter does not mean it's going to snow in 10 days. And if you don't believe me, ask anybody outside the mountains what happened the last 3 or 4 times we got thunderstorms this month. The answer is nothing.
Great minds, James. That was exactly what I was about to say sarcastically, that the 10-day clock has started again for lots of the Carolinas.
I've lost track
on a
of how many times
snowstorm.
we've started this clock now.
No, watch it actually happen this time. Watch us actually get a snow or ice storm on the 4th or something.
Brad Panovich, friend of the show, chief meteorologist, WCNC Television in Charlotte, says it happens, at least in Charlotte, like 11% of the time.
Right.
Which I'm pretty sure falls under happy accident.
That's a disabled clock reaching effective time. Broken twice a day.
Price right, exactly. So
broken clock, twice a day, and that's about right. that's a.
So, Jared, I see you've zoomed back in on Ocracoke. I would say that there's not rotation, but of the 3 or 4 different areas that have come towards Ocracoke tonight, this is the least impressive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have the normalized rotation product back on here, which shows us, kind of cuts through the velocity data a little bit and shows us, where the spin is in the atmosphere within the storms. And again, this is as weak as Ocracoke has seen, and currently. The Weather Service in Morehead City is keeping this covered with a special marine warning, but there is no sign right now of any new tornado warning. However, Ocracoke, you are about to get another round of maybe gusty, heavy rain over the next 20-30 minutes. But again, once again, this is going to slide up now, and of course we have so. Is my velocity behind? Oh yeah, that's behind. So let's see. And I say that, and I see this donut hole show up right here. So give me a minute here. Let's see that. Let me take another source here, and this is radar scope, and there's your donut hole, and there's a little. There might be a little something still kind of trying to spin here, but.
It's rotating, but it doesn't look as good as it did maybe 5 to 8 minutes ago. There were a couple of scans there where it looked like the rotation was tightening up pretty nicely, and is the opposite right now.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's just been one of those nights, guys. It's been, it's just been active. I think Ocracoke is going to be very happy when their phone stops going off every hour. I think that's really the
Seems like as the cold front comes through here, in the Charlotte area, the rain's coming down a little bit more significantly, or the bugs are wigging out. I'm pretty sure that's rain.
Yeah, it's rain. I was just looking at. There's a decent line of showers there over the Mech Union line there, and trailing back into northern Lancaster County and far southeast York County, down by Leslie and Catawba, down into Chester County. So one last little downpour with the cold front there as it's moving through the Charlotte metro area, and then you're dry. We finally dry out.
And this is not just the situation in Charlotte, but this is going to be coming all across the Carolinas. So from North Carolina, South Carolina, it's not severe back here in the western half, but this is the actual transition that the thunderstorms were the prelude for.
Yep.
We actually have somebody watching us right now from this area. Spring is watching from Wingate or Wingate, depending on how you want to say it. I was actually just looking at reports that a freight train, and a tractor trailer have apparently collided in the Wingate area, and Union County Sheriff says the road is closed down there. So if that is indeed the case, that would be the second time in about a week that has happened. So maybe Spring knows more than I do on what exactly that's about, but I wouldn't think that's weather related. There's no severe weather here. The severe weather is all from eastern North Carolina. Greenville's in the clear. Jacksonville, North Carolina is in the clear. New Bern right now, you've got the line right over you, and this is probably the longest we've gone since the 7:00 hour without one warning after another.
Don't say that just yet.
Although it's a near miss out at Cape Hatteras and Buxton there. That's an impressive cell with impressive rotation, but it looks like the scary part of it's going to stay just a couple miles offshore. Close though.
It's not going to miss by much, that's for sure. It's just they got lucky with their geography more than anything, with the way that this is with the way this is spinning. And it's not the strongest one we've seen all night, but it is, structurally speaking, looks pretty good. I mean, that's that's a solid couplet.
It sure is. Gate to gate shears about 65 to maybe 70 knots.
Yeah, it's respectable.
So, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's quite respectable. So I think the good, and and we still have a couple other supercells that are well offshore at this point. And I think we're reaching the point now where the trajectories on these, as this line continues to clear east, this line is moving faster than the eastern progression of these cells. And I just get the feeling that, hopefully we're done dealing with these. For land areas, obviously marine interests are definitely going to be, continue to, want to monitor that. But yeah, so far so good. And again, there is still some concern as the line gets into this area that, we might be moving into a slightly more favorable environment to maybe have a quick little spin up out there. I'm looking at some of the, analysis data, and the wind shear is still pretty decent. There's the instability is shifting offshore a little bit more, which is good news, but it is running into maybe a little bit more energy. So keep an eye on this. We could see this, kick back up a little bit, but overall, that's that should be okay. So cool. Yeah, guys.
They just put out a new special marine warning. It looks like or maybe that's a readjusting of the polygon from the
I
other
think
one.
they trimmed it back.
It just covers that one supercell just off of Hatteras right now. Back in the day, until about 1995, there was a WSR 57 out there at Hatteras. So that was still there.
Helped.
We could get a real good look at that cell, at least the reflectivity we could.
You said it was a 57 though?
Yeah, it was a 57 out there.
Impressive.
As opposed to the 88s?
Right.
Or the 74 or the 74C.
December of 95.
I mean, here in Charlotte, I'll just take a guy with binoculars up on a fire watch tower at this point, so it's fine.
Yeah. There used to be a 74, I think, in Charlotte, if I remember right.
I think so too.
Yeah. As I remember, when I was in high school, I toured the Weather Service office, and yep, there was. It was a 74, and it was turned off on September 17th, 1996, if Wikipedia is to be believed, and it might not be, but
no, it sounds about right. Yeah,
right.
If somebody's lying, then Wikipedia will just correct it. People would just go in and say, "No, you're a liar."
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the 96, that's when Weather Service modernization became a thing. They trimmed down the number of offices, and that really modernization centered around these NEXRAD Doppler radars.
Right.
So just interesting history there. Maybe we do a show about that sometime. I think that would be kind of cool. But
as we continue to just hang out here in the next couple of minutes or so, the current radar that covers Charlotte is out of Greenville, South Carolina, the Spartanburg area, and it's been down since the end of last year, December 31st, and they were hoping to start the repair tomorrow. They're now looking at Friday morning, and I'm hoping to be there to watch them begin what will probably be approximately 2-week-long repair that will finally bring that radar back. The radars in Columbia and Raleigh and Roanoke and the lesser powerful terminal Doppler radar in Charlotte have been trying to pitch hit. But if you've been in upstate South Carolina, you've been in the western mountains of North Carolina, even extreme northeast Georgia, you have been with less than ideal radar coverage because Tennessee, the mountains block you to the north. Peachtree City, Columbia, they're just too far away. I mean, I was watching, we did get heavy rain, right? Heavy rain in the Charlotte area today, in Western North Carolina, upstate South Carolina today, as these storms are coming through. And I was almost just watching them kind of just like appear on radar out of nowhere as they were coming into view of either Columbia or one of those radar beams. They were just blocked for the longest time, and then they were coming on through. So let's say thanks to Dublin, who just super chatted us here. $5. We appreciate the support here at the Carolina Weather Group. Helps us do what we do. Matter of fact, you can see the bright lights on Frank's face, which were recently purchased thanks to super chats like this. And a question: why isn't there storm chasers in North Carolina like in other states, like how in other states have storm chasers? So I would say there are some storm chasers in the Carolinas. They do exist. Our Dan Whitaker comes to mind in the greater Greensboro area. Our friend Chris Jackson in Columbia. But if you, frankly speaking, make your living photographing severe weather, tornadoes, the Carolinas is not the top place for you. It's not the worst place for you. We're probably like the fourth area in the country when you start thinking about the plains, the deep south. But it's really hard to photograph here because of the trees, the pines, the terrain. You make your money as a storm chaser in the Oklahomas and the Texases of the country, where you just have miles and miles of visibility. Here, in order to see a tornado, you almost have to be in it, like Twister, the movie.
Unless you like, rain and trees.
And another thing, I really love when the community comes together, right? So you guys might remember, let me find the question. Alex had this question on YouTube a little while ago. What about the ferries in the Ocracoke Outer Banks area? And another one of our weather watchers was able to answer that question. So Loop has been watching from Ocracoke, giving us some storm reports. And the ferries were stopped a little bit earlier on. They are currently suspended until later. So that is newer information, more pertinent information than what I was able to glean from, I think, some of the official Twitter accounts that monitor those things. So we appreciate everyone who's been giving those on-the-ground reports. Really do appreciate that. On the topic of storm chasers, yes, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. As much as we've been watching the radar today, our thoughts and prayers are with those folks today and yesterday. I was looking at some new daytime video today, guys, of the storm damage in Texas, Houston area having that tornado emergency yesterday, which is as worse as it can get. It was really bad in some places, really, really bad and heartbreaking.
It has been a very bad winter.
Yeah, last January we were all like, "Hey, it's snowing 3 times, all right." This January has been like thunderstorm after thunderstorm after thunderstorm.
Yeah, it's no good. So, I think before we get out of here, let's because right now, again, things are looking pretty good. Did a little scanny poo, so to speak, and I think we're in decent shape right now. No reports of damage that we can hear, which is good news there. But if you're in Morehead City, you're about to get the line. New Bern, the line is just about through you. You have some showers coming through there. Jacksonville, you're done. You're going to have a little bit more light to moderate sleep and rain coming in. So so forget you won't need your rain sounds tonight. You're going to have at least some natural rain sounds for the next little bit. There again, going up towards Elizabeth City, where the severe threat is a little bit lower, not quite getting that overlap of instability and shear there quite as much as we are further south. Still some heavy rain moving through there as the line gets through. Outer Banks, again, over the next couple hours, this threat from these supercells that are out there, that's going to continue to move. We're going to continue to get that further into the Atlantic, and that becomes less of an issue for land areas. So again, just keeping an eye on this. Just stormy couple hours coming up. Elizabeth City, Devil Hills, Morehead City, Swan Quarter, Hatteras. But overall, we are winding it down, which is very good news, and hopefully we can keep it that way.
Yeah, I hope so. And again, it looks like just the barrier islands are the only areas that are really having any significant risk at this point, since the line of storms is starting to move into far eastern North Carolina now around the Sounds and Islands. So unless we can get one of these supercells offshore to hit one of the barrier islands, we're probably going to be free of any more tornado warning activity for tonight.
And I'm feeling pretty good because we don't have any right now directly lined up with the Outer Banks. We do have that mesoscale discussion. We talked about it earlier, some internal chatter from the Weather Service and professionals and the like that, it's possible we could see something else over the course of the next 2 hours or so. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to power down our lights. We'll take you back over, if you're watching on YouTube, to our Carolina Weather Net. This is a dashboard of sorts that shows live radar, sky cams, real-time alerts from the Weather Service. If we get word of another tornado warning, we will come back on here. I see somebody in chat says they sent us a screenshot to our Instagram of a big water spout. We'll take a look at that. If you got Twitter, I've got a Twitter dashboard here. I can probably get to faster than Instagram. I'm not sure if you have access to that. We are Carolina WX Group on there as well. We will be back if severe weather warrants, and we will also be back next week. I will hope you'll subscribe to be notified when this episode becomes available of our weekly podcast series talking about earthquakes in South Carolina. Over 85 of them in a 1-year span last year. You guys might remember a lot of them coming out of that Elgin, South Carolina area. Our guest will be Stephen Jomay from the College of Charleston. We've recorded an interview with him that is available right now over at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group. You can unlock early access to that. So if you're a new subscriber tonight, Carolina Weather Group, we bring you storm coverage just like this. And we also have a weekly podcast series Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Where we talk about weather science, technology, and more from the Carolinas. So if you want to join this list of people in supporting what we do, you can find that at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group. And thanks again to Dublin for tonight's super chat here on YouTube. We'll take you back over to the Carolina Weather Net. We'll keep an eye on this thing behind the scenes. I'm James Brierton. That's Frank Strait. That's Jared Smith. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again soon. Stay safe.